Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today, and welcome back to today's bonus. A little bonus to get the weekend here just that much quicker. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. The merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They all were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost you a cent. Click that like button. It takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon and please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things, they really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. And folks, they definitely matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into today's bonus, shall we? All right, everybody. Today I have a subscriber out of Pennsylvania, Tom. Tom, how are you today?
Not too bad, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you taking some time out of your evening. I know you worked all day, so it's muchly appreciated.
Oh, no problem at all.
Now, you had commented in the comment section, and we tried to, you're like, I don't know how to get in touch with you. Finally, we did, and I'm glad we did because you've got some very interesting story or experiences. Tonight we're just going to talk about what your cryptid experiences are in the state of Pennsylvania, but you also have some paranormal stuff as well. I'm going to have you come back and share some of that. Tom used to be a paranormal investigator, and he went around and did some paranormal investigations at some pretty cool haunted spots. But that'll be another upload. So tonight I'm going to turn the mic over to you, and that way you can share your experiences with everyone, and I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Well, I live in southwestern Pennsylvania. I'll say what county it is. It's Fayette County. I really don't want to give any more information than that because I just don't want people going looking for this thing, and I just want it left alone. Right. Basically, it's like my whole thing. It doesn't need exploited. It doesn't need, if it's there, it doesn't need pushed out. People don't have to look for it. You know what I mean? I do. I'd rather just be left alone, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I started out years and years and years ago. My dad got out of the service, and he, got his first job and only job at U.S. Steel. And at one time, he didn't have enough time, and he was laid off. So he's a hunter, and that's pretty much all he did. And, they call them mill hunkies around here. And they're just kind of like the no-nonsense, like paranormal, just that doesn't even cross their mind, or like cryptids. It's not even a thing that they think about. And so this period of time, he has this dog. It's basically a mutt, not even a beagle. It's like a Benji-looking dog. He said it's the best rabbit dog he's ever had in his life, ever. Having beagles, whatever. Right. This dog loved to hunt. So this particular rabbit season, he limited out with this dog. But towards the end of that season, he is in a certain hunt spot that he went religiously with this dog. And this dog cannot wait to go out and live for it. So he's out in the woods, and the dog would do exactly what a beagle does. They get a rabbit that starts barking, they run that rabbit back to you. Well, dog gets on a rabbit, and then all of a sudden, there's nothing from the dog. Nothing. He's like, maybe it picked up the scent of a deer, maybe it's running a deer, or something happened. It happens. It loses a rabbit too, then they'll stop.
Right.
So next thing he knows, here comes this dog, and it's cowering. It's got its tail between its legs, and it's scared. Like, it basically scared shitless. And he's like, this is just really odd, this dog never acted like this. He said, and then all of a sudden, like, then the odor came, and it was just wet dog skunk. He said it was just horrible. Nothing he's ever smelled before. And okay, it is what it is. But then he got the feeling of being watched. And for him, that's, for him to even say that, that's like, wow, because like I said, they don't even think about shit like that.
Right. It's so, old school, hard
exactly.
men. They don't talk about ghosts. They don't believe in ghosts, and if they do, they don't talk about it, and they don't really.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yep.
And this story took years for him to tell us. Finally, and after probably a couple of beers, he finally told me and my sister about this story. And we were like, holy hell! It's of course you're gonna believe your dad because that person doesn't lie to you.
Right.
So that happens. Now, my first experience in this area happened, I want to say maybe 5 to 6 years ago, maybe not even that long. There's a certain road that cuts from the main road, and it's a dirt road, and basically people do a lot of dumping out there, and people go parking and whatever, party and this and that, and being a certain ex of mine that, you have exes, you kind of meet up from time to time.
Right. Friends with benefits.
Well, yeah, if you want to say that. And we happened to be on this road one night, and kind of one thing leads to another. On the hood of a car, and she's a very loud person, we'll put it that way. So, all said and done, just standing there, like, just talking, smoking a cigarette and BSing. All of a sudden, this sound, I can't describe the sound. I've been in the woods, I've hunted, I've never heard anything like this. And you and I were talking about this sound, and the only thing I can say, it was kind of like a donkey, a dog, and I don't know what the hell else mixed in with it.
Right.
But it made this noise. Like, it doesn't fit the woods. Like you said, it doesn't even fit this world.
Yeah, it just doesn't. It's not a sound that your brain can put
it processes.
Yeah, you can't put a face to it, Yeah,
you can't picture an animal making this sound.
Exactly.
So, this area where it happened is probably maybe a mile from where my dad had his experience. So we're standing there, and she says, what the hell was that? And I'm like, I don't know, I ain't really thinking too much about it. A couple minutes later, makes a sound again, but it's closer. Again, she's like, what is that? I'm like, I don't know, but, we're going to wait and see what it is. And like I said, for about 15 minutes, every couple minutes, it would make this sound, and it's closer every single time. And me, I'm curious. You got to be the badass too, I'm going to stay and see what it is, no matter what it is.
Right.
Which is kind of dumb, but, it is what it is. Finally, it's close enough. It's probably within 20 yards. And the funny thing is, I never heard anything walk. Never heard any footsteps. Just this sound. And it was closer and closer every time. Finally, it's about 20 yards, makes the sound, and she says, you're getting me the hell out of here. She's shaking, like, uncontrollably. She's scared. Mm-hmm. So, of course, if you're that scared, I'm getting you out of here. So, didn't stick around to see what it was. So, this year, I usually stay at work and I do stuff afterwards, and, just odds and ends, whatever, like both side jobs, and it's, almost 4 in the morning, and I'm traveling the road from where I work back to home, and there's a train tunnel the tunnel is a curved tunnel to where, like, a box truck can't go through it, or a tractor trailer hauling a trailer can't, and it's posted at 9'3" is where that curve starts, so that, truck driver knows, oh, I'm too tall, I can't go through it. Well, I'm heading home. It's exactly 3:53 because I looked at the time on my clock in the truck. When I seen this, I come down a little hill to the tunnel. My headlights hit the other end of the tunnel, and for a split second, there is this gigantic black hairy thing. That's all I can say. And I've seen it from the shoulder down, take a step off of the road into there's a thicket right off the side of the road. And I couldn't make myself go through the tunnel. It shook me that bad. And I always was the guy that thought, if I see a Bigfoot, I'm going to run after it.
Right.
I'm going to get proof. if I'm gonna, I'm gonna be the badass. No, that anybody that thinks that, you're wrong. It was the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life, and it shook me to my core. It scared me that bad. I had to contemplate driving through the tunnel to go home. I wanted to turn around and go another way, which then I'm thinking, do I want to go through the tunnel and turn the truck around and put the headlights on it and see if I can see it again? And I'm like, no, I really don't.
Right.
Don't want to do that.
What
And
exactly?
so unlike me.
What exactly? Because you had said Bigfoot, but what exactly did you see? Can you explain to everyone what you saw at that very moment?
If you've ever seen, there's that photo of the guy standing next to the I'm going to butcher this one. I know it. The Gigantopithecus, kind of stuffed animal thing they have.
Mm-hmm.
That big.
Okay.
That's what I could say that I seen the side of. I seen it from the shoulder down, and it was black. Okay. But it was enormous. So whoever built that statue got that part right. That thing is enormous. That's what scared me so bad. I never pictured anything that big. And like I said, I didn't see a head. I only seen it for a split second. It stepped off the road, and I stopped. I couldn't drive through the tunnel. It shook me too bad.
Now, if that tunnel, you said it was like 9 foot 3 inches, do you think this thing would have to duck to go in the tunnel, or was it just about height level for the tunnel?
It would have been, well, the reason I know that the 9 foot 3 is where its shoulder was at is because where the tunnel, where it starts the curve, they have a sign posted 9 foot 3 for the truck drivers. Mm-hmm. That's where its shoulder was at. So the next day when I'm going to work, I look, and there's a visible path where this thing had beat down the high weeds and made its own path through that thicket.
Okay.
It wasn't a deer trail. It wasn't a used trail at all. You could tell because, you know how like fresh vegetation's pushed over. That's where this thing went.
Right.
And I look up, and there's this 9 foot 3 sign. And I'm like, holy hell, that thing was probably close to 10 feet tall.
Wow.
Its shoulder at least was 9 foot 3. That's where it was at. That's why I didn't see the head, because of the curve of the tunnel from the opposite end.
Right. Wow, that's huge.
It's insane. And I just didn't ever picture something being that big.
Right.
Never pictured actually ever seeing anything like that. And it does change you, like you said, with your experience. It changes you.
Yeah. Like
your whole outlook on everything. Like there's so much more out there.
Yep.
Than what we know.
Absolutely.
And it like opens your eyes to it, you know. And but it doesn't end there. So that happened October 16th. So November 5th, I'm leaving a coworker's house, and he lives in the town that is about, I don't even know if it's a half mile from where I had my sighting. Leaving his house about 1:30 in the morning, I walk out and get in my truck, and you have the normal sounds of the city, like, I don't want to say city, but town, you know, that has like a decently busy road going through it. And under all this stuff, I can hear this sound, this wailing. And I'm like, you can tell where something's coming from. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell, like, that sound's coming from that area where I had my sighting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy hell. So I run in and I grab him. I'm like, dude, come listen to this. I said, it's making sound. Listen to this. So he's listening. He's like, that's a dog. I'm like, listen, please, just listen. So finally, like, all the cars go by and you can hear it distinctively now. And like, his eyes get big. He went, holy shit, that's what you saw. I said, you think so? I said, that's coming exactly like right from where I seen this thing. And I never even thought to get my phone out to try to record the sound, because I was too amazed by it, listening to it. And for about 5 minutes, this thing just did this wailing and would stop and start back up. But there was never a response from anything, which is kind of odd, but you don't know why it's making that wailing sound either, you know?
Right. Was it the same wailing sound that you had heard, that you had described earlier?
Yeah, it's I don't know if I can make the sound.
Well, no. Like, I mean, you had mentioned that wailing sound earlier, that you had that other experience where you had heard.
That wasn't a wailing sound. That was like just a one
Like kind of that.
Like if something would grunt, it was like just one noise, and it wasn't very long.
So it wasn't the same sound.
No.
Okay.
No. This thing, it sounded like it was calling.
All right.
For something, you know?
Yeah.
And so, hell, I jump in my truck. I'm like, I know where this is coming from. I'm going to go here and see, you know. Nope. I get down there, and it stopped. Get back, and he's like, you were probably going 15 seconds. And literally, it probably took me 30 seconds to get there by truck. He said it quit. And we stood out there for a while, and it never did it again that night. But he did tell me the following night he heard it very briefly, but he did hear it about 2 a.m, I believe. So I want to say this thing's still in the area.
Yeah.
I don't know if they migrate, but I want to say these things are nocturnal mostly.
Yeah.
In this area, I would think.
I don't know if they migrate. I know they travel. I mean, they probably travel with food. You know what I mean? I just, I don't see them, you know, like a mass migration, like birds do. I think they just travel with food. You know, they're hairy for a reason. You know.
And that's the other funny thing. That kind of sparked something else that happened. And this happened next to my house. I forgot to tell you about this. So the same ex that, you know, we weren't exes at the time. She was living here, and we had probably about 6 inches of snow.
Okay.
The night before, and we always went outside. My dad didn't smoke. We were both smokers, so we'd go outside on the porch and smoke. And about 12 feet from my sidewalk, I look over and I see footprints. But they're not. They're probably about 18 inches long, and I'm 6'3". I couldn't even jump the stride of these footprints. And I completely forgot about this, you know, until just now, actually.
Right.
And I thought it was my brother-in-law and my sister who lived 3 houses from me messing with me because, you know, I'm into Bigfoot and cryptids and the whole paranormal thing, and he was really into Bigfoot, and he's a jokester also. Right. But here at the time, his mother was in the hospital passing away, and I didn't know it. And I'm trying to text him, like, are you messing with me? Like, what's going on? Like, did you do this just to fool with me? And what it was the front road in my house. I live in a little patch town, and I have, you know, like, Fifth Street in front of my house, and then I have an alley behind my house. Well, the footprint started in front of my house on Fifth Street and went up between my house and there's a neighbor's shed. They went up that way and were next to my garage deck, because we have a room above our garage. But when they got up next to my deck, it looked like it wrestled something. Like all the snow was matted down, almost like, you can imagine this thing maybe catching a deer and wrestling it. It's the only thing I can think of.
Okay. But
I can never find any footprints after that. And now I took pictures of all these footprints. And like I said, I'm 6'3", and I couldn't leap the distance from print to print. Was it a Bigfoot? I don't know.
Right.
But it most certainly didn't look like an animal that jumped bipedally with 4 feet, you know, hopping back and forth.
Right.
So, I don't know. I would like to think maybe it was, but who knows?
Wow. That's crazy.
But I forgot to tell you all about that, and it's funny how certain things just spark your memory.
Yeah. It's like our mind represses things at a time.
It's kind of like you hide it away, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But
you had
I'm hoping.
You had said something. I don't know if you want to share this or not, but you had said about some friends that had a kind of experience with a Dogman, and you had said, hey, that sounds like a Dogman.
Yeah. Two friends of mine, we all work at the same place, same bar restaurant. Their story's really, really crazy. As a matter of fact, he actually said he would come on and talk to you if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'd love it.
How about I just give you like a brief overlay of that?
Yeah.
Then he can tell you. Because all my stuff is secondhand from them.
Definitely.
The property they lived on was her grandmother's house. I want to say it was given to her, but the land was on, at one time it was Indian land, you know, like artifacts. They'd find arrowheads and this and that. I don't know if it was burial ground. I have no idea. But the paranormal activity in this house was intense, and it ramped up and got very, very, very active. And like to the point to where they had seen an apparition of an Indian walking through the yard, and just countless other things that happened. Like people's personalities start to change when they got closer to the house.
Okay.
And even got to the house. Like there was more arguments, like it was an oppressive situation. And from what I understand, they pull in one night and they see this shadow coming off of their porch around the side of the house. So he jumps out, runs around the other side of the house, hoping to intercept it. Well, when he does, there's this more or less like an adolescent Dogman. Mm. And he said what it did was next to the pine trees, and it did. And I explained it. This is how I picture it. If you've ever watched X-Men Origins Wolverine, when Sabretooth goes after somebody and he hops down and he does that, like on all fours, that he's coming to whip your ass. Like
that loping, fast run, yeah.
Exactly. He said that thing did it 3 times, actually picked up a pine branch, threw it towards him, then stood up, and he said it did not make a sound when it ran, which is one thing you always hear with the Dogman. You never hear him run. And he said it was ungodly fast, never made a sound. And he said the speed of the thing was, he couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It was up through his yard, across the field, and in the woods before he knew it.
Yeah.
And that's a distance. I drove out to see this house, and that's far, very far.
When you shared that with me when we were talking earlier, you had heard the upload with the video, but it literally sounded, how you explained it is exactly the way that thing drops out of a tree. And, the second you said how in that movie, how Sabretooth dropped down and it loped at you with its shoulders just wide and really aggressive. And,
exactly.
And another interesting thing is, and I didn't pick up on this until just now, is that there was like Native American artifacts involved. I'll just wait till your friend comes on and shares this with us. But, someone might say, oh, well, their Native American artifacts are involved. Maybe it was some sort of Native American shapeshifter. Once again, we're in Pennsylvania, so it's not a skinwalker, but something similar.
Well,
and
this thing actually has a name. It's known as the West Bend Wolf.
Okay.
And the story goes, this thing has been around, or a family. You know how you get bits of stories from everybody that's in an area?
Yeah.
Supposedly there's more than one.
Yeah.
And nobody knows who it is. There was a school teacher that supposedly has a picture of this, and we're talking like on his porch, like it's right there picture. Like you can't deny that it's this. It's not like a blob squatch picture or a fleeting blur. We're talking like a Polaroid picture. That's how long ago it was, of this thing, like right there, face to face. And I heard that there was a report in the local newspaper. I don't know what year it would be, no idea. And there was a story written about this, the West Bend Wolf, and I guess countless sightings of this thing in that area. And I had just told you that last night I had heard somebody talking about, they thought it was thought that they had a Bigfoot encounter and the rock throwing. And I told you, I asked you, I've never heard of Dogman throwing a rock, but then you told me about your buddy. So I believe this guy also, it's the same area, had an experience with this thing, because he said the way the thing howled after it threw a rock. Because they experienced so the people that have the house that's on the Indian ground, she told me this. She said one evening she's sitting there and she has headphones on. She said it howled so loud that she heard this howl over the headphones, like it came through the headphones.
Wow.
And it just rumbled down the valley. She said it was so intense and scary. They ran out and grabbed all their cats and animals and brought them in the house. Like,
definitely
the old
smart thing to do.
Well, and the thing is, like the old headphones, like old soup cans, you couldn't hear anything over them,
right?
Like through them,
right?
And she said it was that loud that she heard it and was like, "Holy hell, what is that?"
Yeah.
And it just went on and on. And she's like, "We got to get the animals." Now, I don't know if that happened before their sighting or after. I'm not exactly sure. He can tell you that, or they both can tell you that if they come on.
Right. The West Bend wolf. That's very interesting. Now, what I was going to say, though, is like, most people would be like, oh, well, there's Indian artifacts. Maybe it was like a shapeshifter, some kind of protector of those artifacts, yada, yada, yada. But as it was running at him, it picked up a branch and threw it at him. So there goes that theory on that. You know what I mean? It's a physical entity.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Flesh
cool.
and blood,
yeah, that's very cool.
Very cool. Also, other people they know that lived in that area have had a sighting of this. Like a kid, I'm trying to think. I can't say who it is, but it's somebody that they know very well, and I know I know of them. I don't know who. I don't know him personally, but his son had a sighting when he was a kid. It walked past his window, and he refused to play on that side of the house ever again towards the woods. And I want to say I believe he's seen it more than once, but his dad ran out with a gun after it whenever he's seen it. So this thing's been in this area. I want to say there's a family of them, because if it's been that long, there's been sightings. I can't say there's just one. Right. They got to get old and die, is what I would think. There's just probably like a clan of these things out there. Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's people have always thought that dogmen travel in packs, and very rarely, because when there's usually one, there's usually another, they say. And
exactly.
So, it's very possible that there may be 4 or 5 of them living together, or separately, but are aware of each other. Who really knows? I just think it's very interesting that there's a name for it. And it's cool. I want to say the name probably came from the newspaper article, but I'm not exactly sure. Right. That's just a guess. Yeah, and it's crazy that, like you said, you looked for this article and you can't find it. Like, it just disappeared.
Well, she did. I didn't look for it.
Okay.
I guess you get into, like, now you have to pay for older articles to go into the archives and stuff like that. And she's like, I'm not getting into all of that. But
okay.
Maybe one day I'll get into it to try to find it. It's just too interesting to know that somebody has a picture of this.
Yeah, definitely interesting.
And there's been sightings of
it. Yeah. I thought it was cool because you and I were talking, and it's getting kind of late, and I know that you had gotten out of work, but I just wanted to say, like, this last kind of thing. When you had your experience and you brought it up to your dad, like you had said, like your dad was a steel worker, and my dad was worked in the paper mill, and it was just, they didn't talk about the paranormal, even if they believed in the paranormal. It was, we work hard, we work either shift work, or when we get out of work, we get home, get our beer, have dinner, go to bed. That's it. Yeah, that's our life. Yeah. So there was no room to talk about, but when you told him about your experience, you expected a whole different thing.
I did, because, well, when I got home, Bully's mom is here, and she looked at me. She knew something happened. So she says, "What's wrong? Like, what happened?" And I'm like, I don't know what I look like. I don't know. She knows me probably better than anybody. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "What's going on? What happened?" I'm like, "You're not going to believe me if I tell you. Just tell me, So I told her, I said, "I'm pretty sure I've seen a Bigfoot." She's like, "Oh, I believe you." And there were a couple instances when my kids were smaller. I can get to that in a minute, but, she believed me. She's like, "Yeah, that stuff happened when the kids were small, Yeah, I believe you." And that's okay. But then, my dad comes down, and he's going, I'm like, do I tell him or don't I tell him? Because, he shared his story. But like he said, when he told, I don't know if it was a Bigfoot. I don't know if it was anything. So I'm wrestling with him, like, what the hell? I'm going to tell him. I'm his son. He can think I'm crazy. That's all right. Right. So he comes out the bathroom. I tell him, I'm like, "I seen something tonight." And he's like, "Well, what the hell you mean you seen something tonight?" I said, "Well, I'm pretty sure I seen a Bigfoot tonight on the way home from work." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, there's probably Bigfoot out there. Yeah, probably is, He completely accepted it and was like, "Okay, like, believe me, and
Yeah.
kind of really shocked me.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it a couple of times since then. You know, he's actually told a buddy of his, and his buddy's like, oh yeah, there's something out there.
Yeah.
Because everybody has some type of experience or has seen something until you bring it up. Even people at work have seen stuff.
Yeah, you just got to bring it up. You know, you've got to overcome that initial fear just to bring it up.
And that was the thing. Usually I'm the guy that's joking at work, making everybody laugh. And I figure if these people find out, I'm nuts. Well, everybody turned and listened, and then stories start. One of the ladies I work with, in a town probably about 20 minutes from where we work, she told me that she was coming from one of the casinos prior to COVID, and it was very late at night, early morning, and she said it was about 4 feet tall, but it was walking more like a gorilla on all fours, had reddish hair like an orangutan, but was bigger. She said it wasn't an orangutan. She goes, Tom, I look at animals like primates, everything. She goes, and I can't find anything that is this thing. But it walked kind of like a gorilla and orangutan does on their knuckles and stuff, but it had longer legs in the back also. Mm-hmm. So I start with the whole, like, did it have a dog face and flat face? You know, I go through all the drill, and she's like, no, it wasn't dog. I'm like, okay, so that blocks out Dogman. So I'm thinking maybe a Sasquatch. She's like, well, I don't know. She goes, it wasn't meant to be there. She goes, it literally was a foot in front of my car. And it looked at me like, what the hell are you doing here? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at it like, what the hell are you doing here? So, you know, stories come out like that, and it's crazy. People are afraid to talk about this stuff because they don't want to be labeled.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you bring it up, it just starts all kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah. It's like the Pandora box, you know, it opens up and it doesn't stop.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Wow. I really enjoyed, you know, just you and I had a brief conversation, talking about, you know, your experiences. We talked a little bit about the paranormal stuff, and that was very enlightening. I really appreciate you sharing that. But I'm looking forward to having you on and you know, sharing your experience with the paranormal with us.
Yeah, I really want to, you know, when I told you that story, you know, it made me feel good, especially what you said, because it's not so unbelievable,
it's
but
powerful.
It kind of is unbelievable.
You know what? If you don't mind, look, why don't we just share that experience so people aren't wondering what it is? And in that way, we'll end it on a high note, and we'll have you back. I'll have you back to share the rest of your paranormal experiences with us. Because, like I said, you were an amateur paranormal investigator. You went to real haunted places. You had a group with you and everything, which is awesome. So I'm gonna give you the mic once more to share this experience that really it blew my mind, and it's heartwarming, to be honest with you.
It's not a bad experience. It to me it proves there's something after this, and it gives me hope. You know.
Just do me a favor. Just don't say the word. Just say, you know, bees or something. All right.
Okay. I got you. I'll put it like this. I believe you have that one true love. You know, and that your soulmate, whatever. And that's who this person was to me. And we were together when we were younger. Things happen. You go your separate ways, and then her and I reconnected about 20 years later and picked up right where we left off. You know, it was like we were never apart. And unfortunately, you know, when I do come back on and I tell you the prior story to this, it'll make sense. But we split up, and unfortunately, a year ago, she passed away. And, you know, I still talk to her brother and her sister, and I was really close with her family. You know, I consider them my family still, you know. Yep. And her brother gets a hold of me and messages me, and he says, Tom, I'm just going to say, he said, I got something from Tara. And I'm like, thinking, okay, like, you grabbed some of her belongings, like, okay, you got something from there. What are you talking about? He says, I talked to her. I got something from her, and I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, just, what's this? What happened? And I always have thought the apps that you download on these smartphones, that the spirit boxes were full of it. I just thought they were like a gimmick thing. And this really blew my mind and changed my mind about them. I can't remember exactly what app he used. I'll find out by the next time I come on. Well, what it does, it doesn't so much speak words. It comes up with a timestamp and a text word. So he's sitting there and he's trying to get through to her, and he's like, Tara, if you're here, can you say something, blah, 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 and what's going on? He's not getting anything, and finally he's getting upset. And he's like, damn it, Tara, if you're here, will you just let me know you're okay? Just something just say anything. Well, anybody that knew Tara, not a lot of people knew her favorite color. It was just a thing. She didn't tell a lot of people. Very few people knew. And yellow was her favorite color. And it was the weirdest thing, and I never asked her, but she just didn't announce it. It was so odd. She always kept that to herself and would only let certain people know. And another thing, she had a very great sense of humor and would use the word bees. She'd call people the B word all the time.
Right.
And that was just her word. Everybody knew her for that. Just when she had a bubbly personality, she was funnier than hell. She was just awesome. Well, the two words that come up next are yellow and bees. And it blew his mind, and it completely shut me. I cried like a baby.
Yeah.
Because to me, that was proof. Why would that word even, I can understand yellow being in that dictionary of that thing, but why the bees word?
Yeah. I mean, the word, obviously, it's witches with a B.
Together.
And I said to Tom, I said, that, because my jaw dropped. I was like, wow, that's, and I said, that experience right there is more real to me. If you had said, I saw a shadow figure and it chased me down the hall and stuck its thumb in my butt, but to have that experience is so much more real, so much more believable, and heartfelt, and it really does show that they are out there. There is, I don't like using the word afterlife because we don't really know what it is, but it's afterlife, I guess. But
there's something else after this.
There's something, yeah, and it was really an amazing, and it just such a cool, heartwarming experience. And I'm glad that you were, willing to share that. And I think that's a good way to end this interview with, because, so many of these interviews are ended on, a bad encounter and this and that. And this was just, truly a great experience, I mean, to hear that the one true love is out there. Yeah. And maybe, just maybe, at the end of it all, you'll be back with her someday.
That's, I hope so. And it gave me that hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
awesome.
There's something else out there.
Yeah. Do me a favor. Don't hang up. I want to talk to you for a couple of minutes after we end the interview. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the audience before we end?
I don't know. Just don't go out in the woods alone. These things are bigger than what you think.
Yeah.
That's all I can think of. I don't know. I'll never go out alone again. Never.
Words of wisdom right there. Tom, it was awesome having you on. I know you had gotten out of work just a short while ago, and I appreciate you taking time out of your evening to share your experiences with us. It's really great meeting you, and thank you.
No problem at all, Jeff. I really appreciate everything that you do, and you're the real deal, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I really do. It means a lot to me. Do me a favor, don't hang up, and I want to talk to you after, but we'll hear from you shortly with your paranormal stuff.
Okay, brother.
All right. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, thank you for joining me on this bonus upload. Very awesome interview and very heartfelt. Very interesting photographs, some of the better ones, I must say. And that video clip never ceases to amaze me. With that, stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant. These creatures are real. They are out there. They are dangerous. Also, thank you for all of your support. It truly does mean the world to me. God bless every single one of you.